You've seen better days, my lord.
This is Varys, and this dungeon scene with Ned Stark is where the show quietly tells you something it will spend 8 seasons proving, that the only person in Westeros playing the game for the right reasons was the one nobody trusted. Now, most people watch this scene and see a spider doing what spiders do, manipulating. Varys feeds Ned information, nudges him toward confessing, guides him toward the Night's Watch. It looks like politics. But watch what Varys actually does in this scene. Not what he says. He brings water to a man dying of thirst. He tells Ned the truth about his daughters when no one else will. Arya has escaped. Sansa is still a hostage. His household is dead. And then Ned asks him the question that defines Varys' role in the entire show.
Who do you truly serve?
The realm, my lord.
2 words. And at this point in the story, they mean absolutely nothing to us. We've heard everyone in King's Landing claim to serve something noble. Littlefinger serves the crown, Cersei serves her family, Pycelle serves the king. They're all lying, so why would Varys be any different? But here's what makes this scene so brilliant. Varys isn't asking Ned to confess because it serves the Lannisters. He's asking because a confession is the only thing that prevents a war. Robb Stark is marching south. Stannis is sharpening his knives. The Riverlands are already burning. If Ned confesses, takes the black, and goes to the wall, the realm gets to breathe. Thousands of farmers and fishermen and children who have never heard of the Iron Throne get to live another year. That's not manipulation. That's triage. And Ned, honor-bound, stubborn, magnificent Ned, refuses. He says something that might be one of the most powerful lines in the show.
You think my life is some precious thing to me?
It's a devastating speech. Ned means every word. But watch Varys when he hears it. There's no anger, no frustration. Just this quiet sadness in his eyes because he's heard speeches like this before. He's watched brave men choose honor over compromise his entire career, and he's watched the small folk pay the price every single time. So Varys does something ruthless. Something that looks cruel but is actually the most compassionate thing anyone does in the entire first season. "What of your daughter's life, my lord? Is that a precious thing to you?" he asks Ned Stark. He uses Sansa, not to hurt Ned, but to give him the one reason that's stronger than honor. And it works, Ned confesses. The plan should have held. Ned goes to the wall, Robb stands down, the realm survives. And then Joffrey opens his mouth. And everything Varys fought for dies on the steps of the Great Sept of Baelor. If this kind of deep dive is what you come to YouTube for, I'd appreciate it if you hit subscribe. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers and every single one of you gets me closer. Now, let me show you why this dungeon scene wasn't an isolated moment. It was the thesis of an entire character. Ned dies. The war Varys tried to prevent erupts across Westeros. And from this point on, the show starts testing whether those 2 words in the dungeon, the realm, were real or just another lie from another politician. The first real test comes from Littlefinger. The 2 of them are standing in the throne room, and Littlefinger does what Littlefinger always does. He tries to strip away the pretense. He calls the realm a lie, a story men agree to tell each other over and over until they forget it isn't real. And you can feel him daring Varys to admit it. To drop the act and confess that serving the realm is just a polite way of saying serving myself. And Varys doesn't take the bait, but he doesn't argue either. He just asks one question. What happens when everyone stops believing in the lie? What's left? And his answer is chaos. Not chaos as opportunity, not chaos as a ladder to climb. Not chaos as a pit that swallows everyone. Especially the people at the bottom who never had a handhold to begin with. That's the split, right there. Littlefinger hears chaos and thinks opportunity. Varys hears chaos and thinks casualties. One of them counts the bodies he can step over, the other counts the ones who'll never be found. And this is what separates Varys from every other schemer in King's Landing. He's not naive. He knows the realm is a construct. He knows the Iron Throne is just a chair made of melted swords. But he also knows that if you tear down the construct, real people bleed. And he's been one of those people. He was sold as a slave. He was carved up as an offering. He lived in alleys and gutters and abandoned houses. He doesn't protect the idea of the realm because he believes it's sacred. He protects it because the alternative is worse for the people who can't protect themselves. The show confirms this beautifully in a scene with Oberyn. When Oberyn asks what Varys desires, women, men, power, Varys tells him he desires nothing. that the absence of desire leaves him free to pursue other things. And as he says it, he turns and looks directly at the Iron Throne. Now, most people read that as ambition. Varys wants the throne for himself, but that misses the point entirely. He doesn't want to sit in it. He wants to control who does. Not for power, not for legacy. Because if the wrong person sits in that chair, millions of people he'll never meet will pay for it. And Varys has spent his entire life making sure that cost stays as low as possible. This is what makes the Daenerys confrontation in Season 7 so important. Because it's the first time someone forces Varys to say out loud what he's been doing in the shadows for decades. Daenerys puts it bluntly, "You served my father. Then you served the man who overthrew him. Then you conspired to crown someone new. What kind of servant does that?" And Varys doesn't flinch.
The kind the realm needs. Incompetence should not be rewarded with blind loyalty.
Then he lays it all bare. He wasn't born into a great house, he came from nothing. His loyalties don't lie with any king or queen, but with the people. The people who suffer under despots and prosper under just rule. If Daenerys demands blind allegiance, she can have Grey Worm behead him right there. But if she lets him live, he will serve her. Not because she's a Targaryen, because he believes the people have no better chance than her. And Daenerys makes him swear an oath. If you ever think I'm failing the people, don't conspire behind my back. Look me in the eye and tell me. He swears it. And that oath is what eventually kills him. Because when Daenerys starts to break, and when the grief and the isolation and the Targaryen fire begin to consume her, Varys sees it happening. He's watched this before. He served her father. He knows the signs, and he does exactly what he promised. He doesn't conspire in silence, he acts. He tries to put Jon Snow on the throne because he believes Jon won't burn a city to the ground. He's wrong about the method, but he's right about the outcome. When they come for him, Varys doesn't run. He doesn't beg. He burns his letters, removes his rings, and walks to the beach. Tyrion comes to see him one last time, the man who betrayed him. And Varys says the words that carry the weight of an entire life.
I hope I deserve this. Truly, I do. I hope I'm wrong.
Think about that for a second. He's not saying he hopes to survive. He's saying he hopes Daenerys proves him wrong. He's saying he hopes the people will be safe even without his interference. He's still thinking about them. Standing on the beach about to be burned alive by a dragon, and his final thought isn't about himself. It's about farmers and fishermen and children who will never know his name. And then the fire takes him. And within days, Daenerys does exactly what Varys feared. She burns King's Landing. She kills the people he spent his entire life trying to protect. Game of Thrones is full of heroes who look like heroes. Jon Snow with his sword, Daenerys on her dragon, Arya with her kill list. Varys never looked like anything. No armor, no weapon, no family crest. Just a bald man in silk robes who shuffled through corridors and whispered in ears. And every single whisper was aimed at the same target, keeping ordinary people alive for one more day. He failed. He failed with Ned. He failed with Daenerys. He failed with King's Landing. But the thing about Varys is that failure never changed his mission. From the dungeon beneath the Red Keep to the beach at Dragonstone, he asked the same question, served the same cause, and paid for it with his life. Littlefinger climbed the ladder and it killed him. Cersei clung to the throne and it buried her. Varys served the realm and it burned him alive. But he was the only one who knew what the realm actually meant. Not the throne, not the game, the people. And in a show full of kings and queens and conquerors, the real hero was a man with no name, no title, and no desire except to keep the world from swallowing itself whole. If you made it this far, thank you for watching. See you next time.